Good evening and welcome to We the People. How would you feel if your father, your brother, your daughter, your husband, or even your friend was murdered or let's say raped in front of your own eyes? And then the person who did this, the perpetrator of this crime, was sentenced to death only to file a mercy petition later, which gets commuted to life imprisonment. Would it be okay with you as long as the perpetrator stayed behind bars for the rest of his living life? Or would you, for some reason, feel the need to see the perpetrator punished by death? This is the controversy we're looking at today after President Pratibha Patil's decision to commute a number of death sentences, in fact 19 different petitions and 35 different convicts to life imprisonment, has triggered a fresh storm. Many of the families affected by her decision are saying this is a betrayal. On the other hand, well-known human rights activists who have always argued in favor of abolishing capital punishment altogether say this is a healthy trend. After all, so many different countries in the world have abolished capital punishment. So on the program today, we look at the notion of the presidential pardon. The president, of course, has said that she was advised in this case by the Home Ministry. She acted on the advice of the government. It wasn't her own individual decision. But there are wider questions raised about whether the purpose of the judicial system is to reform individuals or whether indeed some individuals are beyond reform. That is the focus of our program today. And if I may, before I get an official perspective from the Congress party, start with you, Neelam Katara, because you are somebody who has lost a son. You are somebody who has battled against the odds, fought for justice. Nitish Katara, your son, was killed. And you are somebody who has grappled with the questions we're looking at today. What do you feel? Do you feel that there becomes a sense of an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, and that is an entirely natural emotion, even if it's not the noblest of emotions? And with some distance from your own tragedy, are you able to look at the questions that arise from this debate a little more dispassionately? Neelam.
Well, as a first reaction, I'd say I'm reminded of the Queen in Alice, off with her head. This is almost like the converse, off with the sentence. But on a more serious note, there are three things, when you've lost someone, somebody has lost a brother, sister, son, as in my case. One is, of course, you pick up a gun or you get someone else to pick up the gun and go and shoot, because then after that you will be in jail maybe and you will have the entire human rights machinery working in your favor. But
is it really? You really feel that cynical?
That is cynical.
Because the human rights machinery has also rescued people who have sometimes been unfairly put behind bars or unfairly sentenced.
Doing one thing doesn't sort of off-right the other thing. That is, I just began with one. That's the extreme cynical thing. I'd never do it. Second is, of course, that you move on, either because you believe in karma or because you've been appeased enough and you feel, chalo, the person is gone, let me get. The third thing, what one does is fight. And that is the most difficult. You fight not because you're seething with revenge. Of course, you feel your son should get or your daughter should get justice, because these are all heinous crimes. But more than that, for example, in my case, in a country where 1,000 young people die every year because of honor killings, there is a social commitment that, okay, it's happened with my son. I don't want it to happen with anyone else. And definitely, it has a deterrent value. That is the only thing possibly in our country which has a deterrent value. And I won't even go into how I've been acting Chowkidar at Tihar, just keeping these convicts inside.
So you're in favor of capital punishment continuing as it does in our system, which is applied to what we call the rarest of rare cases.
Unless we can get reforms, police reforms, judicial reforms, and electoral reforms into our country.
Do you have the NDTV Profit app? All the markets, all the news and your own homemade, ready-made portfolio available there for you.
We will right now answer what you should sell, what you should buy when markets are down.
Download at ndtvprofit.com/apps. Get the best app from the channel you trust.